with Liv Hershey.
Hey, congratulations
whoever's
on
doing
the,
it.
I'd like to call to order this August 18th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Education. Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Dr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Moffett?
here.
Ms. Schofield?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here. Item B, Agenda 1, motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the agenda of the August 4th, 2021 regular Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education in adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'd like to amend our agenda. Oh, we don't need to amend the agenda. Then I'll just inform you that under board business I, we've added number 3, public comment, which makes future agenda items, item 4, committee reports 5, and adjournment 6. Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye. Opening ceremony, welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. 2, informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, she or he must notify the superintendent and or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by an announcement of his or her name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All comments should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen. And for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the librarian's desk. The next regularly scheduled meetings of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education are on September 1st and September 15th at 5:30 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library, 2300 4th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. There's a Finance Committee meeting on August 19th at 9 a.m. in the Harold E. Wilson Center, 431 Stowe Avenue. There is a 6/12 Planning Committee meeting on August 19th at 6 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library, 2300 4th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. On August 24th, there's a Business Advisory Council meeting at 8 a.m. in the Harold E. Wilson Administrative Center, 431 Stowe Avenue. And there's a special board meeting on September 8th at 5 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls Library, 2300 4th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, Mrs. Kathy Moffett.
Please join me as you are able for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Moffett. Item D, presentations, 1, district goals. Dr. Nichols.
Thank you, President Schofield. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hutchins. All right. Members of the board, I shared with you the PowerPoint presentation, so you should have it in front of you, so it's easier to read. As you know, the goal setting process really starts with a strategic plan. And a strategic plan being a 5-year strategic plan, we are now in year 3 of that strategic plan. And so our process gets tweaked a little bit each year, trying to make it a little bit better. And so that this year's process begins in June with our retreat and a reflection of the 2021 goals and progress and so on and so forth. And I share them with you as a Board of Education, share those results with you and what we're thinking about in terms of goals for 21-22. You are involved in tweaking those goals, and then we come back with our administrative team in our August retreat and try to refine those goals. And this is where we have landed. Monday at convocation, I shared these with the entire shared the goals with the entire organization. Certainly, they can be tweaked if not adopted as they are. They can be tweaked, but I want to walk you through what they are and what we've changed this year in terms of a reporting process based on our conversations. Okay. So the first one we have is still, all right, go. Maybe go.
No,
Thank you, Ryan.
it's not going.
Huh? Why is it not going?
It's going. Let me do it. Let me do it.
There you go.
Oh,
So last year and this year, we have incorporated an overarching academic goal to align not only our district goals, but align it with the comprehensive continuous improvement plan that's required by the Ohio Department of Education. And so this goal is directly or identically the same as what is in our CCIP. And don't necessarily need to read it to you, I don't think, maybe for the good of the audience that might be listening. During the 2021 school year, 80% of the students who took the NWEA MAP assessment in January 21 will demonstrate math and reading RIT scores that are 105% of their 1-year growth projection. In other words, January 21 projection on the spring 22 administration of the NWEA MAP assessment. Essentially, that 105% is we want to grow them a year plus a little bit. Is really what we're getting to. And parenthetically, I've included buildings in CCR. So as we go through the goals, that's intended to identify those departments or buildings, essentially, that are responsible. Who is responsible for this goal? Now, as you look at the total package, I'm responsible for the total package, for all the goals, right? But not every building and or department should be, or does it make sense for them to be responsible for all the goals? So that helps narrow their focus for their buildings, their departments, and while maintaining the global aspect of goal setting in our district as aligned to our strategic plan. So that's where that comes from.
It worked.
Did it work?
It worked.
Did I do
It was all
that?
you.
All right. Well, maybe.
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't work. Do I have to point
Time
it
for
this
a
way?
new clicker.
There we go. I gotta point it this way to get to your USB. So the first focus area of our strategic plan is student success, as you well know. And so these bullet points come directly from our strategic plan. Again, tying everything back to what we said we were going to do in 2019 or 2018, getting ready for 2019. We have 3 goals under focus area number 1. The first one, we said it was important to continue down the STEAM pathway: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And we have been involved with the STEAM cadre through the ESC for the last few years. So our teachers have been receiving training in STEAM. They also, many of them have successfully written GAR grants for makerspace kinds of things that are very much STEAM oriented. And our team decided that they wanted to use NASA's design thinking model as a template for our STEAM activities. So we maintain this goal, and essentially it says that all teachers, every teacher will have basically 2 STEAM activities, one in the first semester, one in the second semester, perhaps. That's how I would align it. And these STEAM activities can certainly be collaborative in nature. So it doesn't have to be a different STEAM activity for every one of our teachers in the district. You can certainly cross-curricularly combine, as you might imagine, with science teachers, math teachers, art teachers, or in the arts, those kinds of teachers. So collaborate on STEAM activities. So we included that in our goals. The second one, there we go. Oral and written communication was part of our strategic plan. And we spent a lot of time last year working with the Schmoker's work focus. And it has become a point of emphasis in terms of literacy skills. Reading, writing, communicating, and so on and so forth. So that has become, and we even use the word focus, and it's capitalized there on purpose because of the work associated with the book study. You'll be happy to know that all of our teachers receive the book focus, and so there'll be book studies going on throughout our district with regard to what we did last year, and in particular chapters 4 through 7 that are content literacy areas. I have in blue there, we said a few months ago that, and I emphasize, of course, you guys know that, my background in terms of a former math teacher, and I'll never let go of the numeracy tail either. And we know what our math scores have been. And I think it's a direct result of our curriculum. But not just Cuyahoga Falls curriculum. My own personal opinion is it's a result of the standards in mathematics. But that's a different topic, different day. So what I have there then is a link to the PowerPoint that was shared from SEI, Summit Education Initiative, which very, very clearly states that kids that complete Algebra 1 by the end of 8th grade are much more, have a greater propensity to be college ready. And what does college ready mean? 21 on the ACT, 21 comprehensive on the ACT. And so I've kind of embedded that in there as well, just simply because I don't want our folks to lose sight of it. I think my own personal opinion is literacy and numeracy walk hand in hand. And so that's what I've included on that particular page. Not that there's a specific goal around it, but I just don't want people to lose sight of it. Okay. All right. Last one in terms of focus area 1 has to do with our investment in our leaders. And so there's a few things, or a couple of things that are going to be on every monthly agenda. One of the things that's on our monthly agenda is instructional leadership. Okay, so leading with focus is our first book study. Our administrative team is required to have that read by August 31st, which is our first administrative instructional council meeting. And that will be the first piece of this. We also have engaged with John Moyer, as you know, Stowe, and are going down the road of Resilient Leadership 2.0. And we have those dates selected. The expectation is that they're all here and follow that. John was very well received at our admin instructional council meeting. So I'm leading by example, and I have 3 personal coaching dates already scheduled with John, starting August 31st, I believe. That's a Tuesday. And the cabinet's met with John, and the cabinet will have some personal coaching pieces set up as well. So we're taking this very seriously. I may as well just say it now. The other piece that's on our administrative instructional council agenda permanently is these goals, a review of these goals on a monthly basis. And later on, I'll show you a couple of templates that are still in process. So I've shared them with you already, but they are certainly in draft form. We reviewed them today in cabinet and working with the cabinet then to pretty them up, so to speak. And so that when we get to that administrative instructional council at 8/31, we can be very clear with our expectations on how they're supposed to report out. Okay, so that's where we are on focus area number 1. Focus area number 2, culture of caring. And as I've shared a number of times, I kind of define a difference between culture of caring and Black Tiger family as culture of caring is us taking care of each other, our families, our kids, our faculty, our staff, those kinds of things. It's us and taking care of us and in all the ways that you can imagine. And then Black Tiger family is 50,000 strong. It's Cuyahoga Falls. It's everybody here. And frankly, in terms of what the work that's being done with the Alumni Association, Foundation Alumni Association, it's far-reaching, way beyond Cuyahoga Falls. And I'm really pleased with the progress in Foundation Alumni Association and the connections that they're making. So what are the specific goals? Maybe. There we go. First one is ICS for equity. So we've invested a lot with Dr. Elise Ventura, who's a Falls native, as you know. And so we've invested a lot in using her integrated comprehensive systems for equity to help with our building our focus on wellness and success. And so it's embedded into the monthly calendar for our staff, both in staff meetings and BLT meetings, those kinds of things. I think in our administrative council meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, we decided to switch that from BLT focus to staff meeting focus, which is actually helpful for us because the BLT, we can keep going with DLT, BLT, TBT, and keep focused on, there's that word again, keep focused on the academic side of the house. Not that it isn't linked with the ICS for equity. When you go through the PowerPoint and you dive deeper into the data with regard to mathematics, that's an equity issue as well. You know, equitable access to high quality education. And so we really are putting strong emphasis on in this work. Speaking of BLT and TBT meetings, collaborative content time. So that might be vertically, it might be horizontally. And in the ERW schedule, or I guess it's not ERW anymore, but early release Friday schedule, etc. Very, very specific linkages between DLT, BLT, TBTs, and backup. And in the timeline, you'll see statements like development of common assessments. You know, you'll see that in the timeline when you click into the links and so on and so forth. Now, we'll have to take that to the next level in terms of which common assessments and what, and so on and so forth. And that's the part that's still work in progress with regard to the specifics. I have trouble with saying that specificity. But so these are, you know, when you take a look at these goals, these are base points, right? And then there's action plans that go underneath them. And it's really the action plans that get really, really specific. Okay, moving on, maybe. There we go. Focus area 3, Black Tiger family. Again, this is our family. These are our businesses. This is our city, and so on and so forth. These are our people. So the first goal there is engage 100% of our students' families in two-way conversations. You know, there's lots of ways that they can take place now. They can take place via conferences. They can take place in emails. They can take place in Dojo. They can take place Remind. They take place. I mean, they take place all over all over the platforms. But the point is to really, really develop the relationships. Now, those of you that were at the convocation, you heard me emphasize that at the first conferences, we're going to create a script for them to get to know their kids and their families, not passing out their MAP scores or standardized test scores and all that kind of stuff. That'll come later. But first up is really getting to know our families and our kids and having our teachers develop those relationships. So, and I know that's a point of emphasis for you. And I just want you to know that we've heard you. And, we talk about expectations too. We're going to create that template, district level, and disseminate it. And so this is the expectation. The second piece with regard to focus area 3 is make these things jumpstart. But we have fallen, education, we have the opportunity to fall into a rut and do the same thing year after year after year. And frankly, it's become trite and boring. And so the emphasis is on making them more invitational, exciting, and dynamic. Monday evening, I was very pleased with our staff at Lincoln and our staff at Preston. I was very pleased with those two. I stopped at 3 buildings. I'll not mention the other one, but I was very pleased with our staff at Lincoln and our staff at Preston. They were present. Their doors were open. They were talking to kids. They were talking to families. And that came about pretty quickly. And they did a great job. I was pleased with that. Focus area 4 then, very simply, resource leveraging. We know what we have to do. We know that we have to, whoops. There we go. Oops. Sorry. We know that we have to pass 2 levies. Come on.
I got you.
Thank you. We got to renew 2 levies. Our first official meeting is Monday, September 13th at Grandview United Methodist Church at 5 o'clock. And that's where we're going to lay out the timeline associated with the 9.97 mil renewal.
That's a bad time. That's welcome week. We got 2 welcomes that night.
Well, okay, maybe we'll have to
Yeah.
rethink that
I feel like
plan.
you want to be, you're probably already committed to being at a welcome week somewhere.
I may be. I do not know that, but it may not. I may be. All right, so we'll go to plan B then, I guess. I have to communicate with Tim. We wanted to get started is
Yeah.
is
Oh, I
essentially
get
what
it.
it comes down to. We wanted to
If
get
you
going.
schedule your meeting for 7 PM, I think you'll be okay.
All right, well, we will work with United, since we're having it at their place, we'll work with them and see what we can do. Okay, well, thank you for reminding me of that. The schedule's already getting pretty well packed. But nonetheless, we have these 2. And if you remember, the second one, we talked about coming back in May with the 4.75 and thinking about an extended period of time or a different period of time to try to dig out of this levy fatigue piece. Okay? So those are the 2 that we're talking about. And then minimum of 20% cash carryover. So in the goal documents, let me show you the reporting piece. Ryan, can you click on the one on the left to start with, I guess? Can you open it?
Yep.
They're both Google.
While he's doing that,
Yeah.
when we're talking about preparing kids for math, do you talk about that in the BAC or the Alliance, like with our business leaders? Like, what are the modern day math skills that are needed?
I haven't, but I certainly can. I mean, I talk about that with SEI and, in those kinds of meetings. And SEI stands for Summit Education Initiative, just for those that, don't like acronyms, right? Thank you. And, that certainly can be a topic.
I'd just be interested to hear what they say, because I know in the past they brought up like lack of soft skills, and that became something we've worked with Career Night, different things to work on that. So wonder what they would say to that.
We can ask the question. All right, so this document's really hard to see. Can you make it?
Yeah, you try to zoom in a little here.
I mean, we don't need to see the whole thing. It's just an example. They have access to it. Board members have access to it. Okay, so you can see, so the first part is the overarching goal, right? And so on the left-hand side, in the yellow, it's a month-by-month piece. What are you going to do in August? What are you going to do in September? So on and so forth for the whole year. And right now, what you see there is a brainstorm that came out of our August admin instruction or admin retreat. We had our first administrative council meeting. We're going to revisit this document. And we're going to flesh it out a little bit because you're not going to see right now, we didn't get to the individual goal pieces and say, what are you going to do? You know, as an elementary group, as a secondary group, as a CCR group. And then I'm going to add another column that's going to be operations. Now, operations might only be responsible for part of the goals. They would be responsible for engagement. And they'd be responsible for resource leveraging, those pieces, you know. Because that falls into their areas of expertise. So we'll continue to develop this document, and this is kind of the intent here is to set the overall stage. This is our game plan. This is our overall game plan. But then also, if you flip open the next document, as each department, each building are putting together their individual goals. Maybe.
It's coming.
All right. This is what Ryan and his team are going to help me. This is Doc's brainstorm because we have said in our meetings and our administrative team said, if we had a common goal or a common template to report out, it would be much easier for us and it would be much easier for me to share with you guys, where are we in progress with this? Okay, so from this document, the intent then is you as an individual building. So elementaries might say this is our game plan, right? But at Preston, here's the game plan at Preston, right? These are my action steps at Preston. Elementary world, okay, collaboratively, we all need to be on the same page, those kinds of things. But then I got to break it down a little bit further to get to what am I going to do at Preston, right? And so that's the intent of this document. So, I mean, I drew on their interactive board for our cabinet this morning, this kind of crappy handwriting, but you start with the strategic plan. And then you got 5 branches coming off the strategic plan, right? You got 2019, 2020, 2020, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24. Those are the 5 branches. It's a 5-year strategic plan. We're at 21, 22. So 21, 22 then comes down to what are our district goals 21, 22? And those district goals then get broken down into elementary, secondary, CCR, and operations, essentially, okay? And then starts to drive down deeper into Lincoln, Richardson, Preston, Price, high school, so on and so forth. So if you can kind of picture that in your mind, that's what I kind of shared with the cabinet today. And I think it all started to come together a little bit better, I hope, in terms of what we're thinking and how I want the reporting to take place. January, February, March, April, May, and keeping that as part of our agenda for Admin Instructional Council. So that's where we are. That's how we've tweaked it for this year. I think it meets, or it's closer to meeting the needs that we've discussed as a board and superintendent team. I think it's closer to what my buildings and departments wanted in terms of a template and reporting mechanisms and so on and so forth. So I've tried to merge those two things, and this is what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Any final questions on the district goals for 2021-22?
I have, so on your second slide, you had in parentheses, you said that would be who is responsible for the goal, but then on the rest of the goals, we don't have that. So can we add in that
It
who's
is-
responsible?
It is actually on this document right there. It is part of this document. I didn't put that on, the reason it's
Okay.
not there is because I basically used the slides from opening day, right?
Mhm.
For your presentation tonight, use those slides. But on this document right here, which I'm giving you access to as well, there's a parenthetic for every one of the goals. Parenthetic statement.
Okay.
So if you flip to the next goal, Ryan, go to the next section or whatever of that document. Okay, pop it open or make that bigger. See, right there. Steve,
Okay.
who's responsible? Buildings.
And then, just a comment. When we talk about restructure family events, and it says et cetera, so this could be included, but not just events, but like processes for enrolling people, like the uncle of a new kindergartner. The process is very sterile. It's not inviting. No one told my sister that she could come get a yard sign, and there was a bag for her.
Okay.
New kindergarten, so just the whole process of, I think, enrolling people of being more welcoming too. So that's a process more than an event, but I think that fits in with that goal.
I accept that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
Thank you.
Would you like the board to formally approve these goals?
Yes, it's later on in the agenda under board business.
Got it.
And I actually put it in the administrative section, administrative content, under board docs.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep, you're more than welcome.
Item E, Treasurer CFO's business, Ms. Christie Stoypike.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve all the items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a minute.
Please call the roll.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett? Aye. Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve the July 2021 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. It's all yours.
Okay, don't be overwhelmed. It looks a little overwhelming. Okay. Let's look at interest real quick, starting out the year. It's not totaling up at the bottom, but you can see what we had in July. The total's missing from this page, but you can see in each one, now we have the multiple accounts at Red Tree to distinguish the different portions of the building project. There, so you can see that's pretty, we're right about on where we've been the last few months with that. So no big changes there. There are two there that I just want to quickly mention, the ones that say CP and BA, income to earn and purchase and sales. So there's a requirement, an audit requirement that I guess has not ever really been pressed and not a lot of people have done it. But Red Tree for like the last year or two has been trying to figure out how their clients can meet this goal. So in case it does become a hot button issue with auditors, it's taken care of. This is what came out of that. It's basically kind of a report of the fiscal year of the purchases and sales, and then the income earned from all of our Red Tree investments of commercial paper and bankers acceptances. And then I uploaded it to the state auditor's website and let another entity know that we had completed this. So this is just kind of a formality to do that. Let's do general fund monthly cash flow. The things we know are familiar. We started receiving our advances from the Summit County for our taxes, so you can see that. Spending is pretty much on pace with the two prior years. Results of operations are a little higher. We got a little bit more in property tax. And so we had an ending balance of about $23.5 million in July. As you know, and as you can see in the other years, it goes up a little and then it starts to go back down again about November, December. So that's that. Now let me tell you what I kind of did, hopefully to clean this up a bit, even though it looks like a lot. So in the all funds, so going to all funds, last month it kind of had everything in it. And so this month I have pulled out the LFI portion of the project and the OFCC, what our bond sales were for that, the OFCC portion. So that is removed from here. The only thing that is different in here prior compared to all the months we did before that, where it was just everything else and it didn't have any of the bond sale in it, is that there was that like $5 million in accrued interest when we purchased the bonds. That is included in here because I was told to put that in the bond retirement fund, which was previously in this all funds cash flow, because we will that'll be going towards our principal payment at the end of December. That large first payment we're going to make at the end of December. So in addition to what we've collected so far for the past year or two. So that's the only difference you'll really see here. So 13 million, so a little bit higher than the last 2 years. Also a little more expenses. It's typical also of, again, the real estate, but we're also doing a lot of our bigger projects in the summer. So that's why the expenses sometimes get a little bit higher in these months, because we're finishing up major projects that are coming out of emergency levy or coming out of other things like that. So we're ESSER is one of them, is included in these numbers. So July, August, it might look a little bigger just due to that. So we ended with 37, almost 38 million. But keep in mind that 5 million of that is that accrued interest that it'll be gone by the end of the calendar year, because we'll make that payment in December. So then I did separate out, and there's not much to see, but you could pull them up, Ryan, the LFI. There's no history to go against. And really there would be nothing here. So between the LFI kind of chart and the OFCC, you're going to see it looks like we got money. We didn't. They really all kind of net each other out. It was due to having to move some monies from one account to the other. So for instance, in this one, to get to the exact amount that the OFCC had sent to us when we passed our last resolution, to get to that exact number that was in that resolution, we needed to send about almost $700,000 over to the LFI portion, which is good, because now that's more that we have the discretion to use. Expenditures would be the management fees for Red Tree. In that 686 is also the interest that was received there. So it looks like we got another 700, which technically we did, but it's just transferring. So we're about 24.7 million there. And then in the OFCC monthly cash, you'll see the opposite. It's not exact opposite because there's interest in both of these in the revenues. But and then we're at that the exact number that OFCC had required is now in that account, plus or minus the interest. I also added, we can look at food service. So food service, you can see obviously with the summer food program, our revenues are up compared to previous years. Last year obviously even was negatives, and that was like refunds to parents who, if they wanted their money back because it was going to be free lunch on their accounts, or if they moved and were requesting refunds of their lunch accounts. So this is the federal money that we received for the summer food program. Expenses about the same as last year, a little bit less actually, drastically different from fiscal 20, and that was because cafeteria was not on 24 pays as the employees. They were being paid in 20 or 21 as they worked. Now they are on a bi-monthly pay schedule like everybody else. So they ended in total around 150,000 for the end of July. So they're still doing in good shape. And then I also added athletics as one, so that's a new one. So you can kind of see what's happening there. As I said, they're running into some of the same struggles at times that food service did. We did, and it won't be reflective until August, do not a transfer, but kind of a payment from ESSER to cover some of their lost revenue from last year, since they still maintained all of the activities and all the sports, but obviously we were not bringing in any revenue near what we would have brought in before, but still paying officials, still buying equipment and uniforms and everything else. So,
Is there an anticipated expense that you have in mind for that?
that was about 60,000. I took so how we calculated it is taking the last 3 years kind of average revenues, and then looking at the revenue from this past year, and kind of coming up with an average loss to kind of supplement them a bit. They never went in the red, which was great, but it was getting tight. The budget was getting tight, and they were coming down. So right now they're at about 46. This was previous to that entry from ESSER. So they'll be back upwards towards the 90 or so $100,000 range come next month. We have had a lot of early revenue from hometown ticketing and the season passes that are available out there and the tickets that are already out there and available for some of the sports. So we get deposits every day with those. So that's been great so far. I'll be here with Joanne, my assistant, on the first football game just to kind of help out with anyone that maybe is having any kind of issues or wasn't aware, just so we can get everybody squared away. So kind of looking forward to that. Okay, I was gonna do one other thing. Well, maybe that's it. No, that's it.
Any questions or comments on the July financials? Ms. Stoiko, I just had one question.
Uh-huh.
You had previously shared with the board that you were compiling a spreadsheet of possible use of ESSER funds.
Yes.
And what's the current status of that?
So ESSER, the ESSER 3 budget is required to be not only submitted to ODE by Friday, but the budget itself will also be added to our the continuity plan that we had put up back in June. That was also a requirement of ESSER. And so that will be added to that same place that we put that, which I believe is on the front page. I can't remember where it's at exactly.
On the first page of the website?
Is it? Okay. So it'll be added just in that document. And then we are required then to kind of do 6-month interval updates, very similar to emergency levy is kind of how I'm viewing that going forward.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Item F, nope. Yep. Any comments? We're on item F, comments.
Just 2 quick ones. One, we met with Neonet last week and had our kickoff meeting to start the transfer over to the upgraded, what they call redesign of our state software. What we are using now is going to be obsolete by the end of next year, so you have to kind of move to one platform or another. We stayed with the state software and their kind of upgraded, more web-based model. So that will start happening in October, and we're hoping by the beginning of December, end of November, to be fully on that system and off the old one. Fingers crossed. The other one, last week we had our secretaries meeting over at Neonet. So last year we did it by Zoom, which is good, but it's still not the same. I've done these for a long time. So we had everyone over to Neonet. We were down in the bottom. We spent the whole day there. Red Tree very generously paid for breakfast and lunch for all of them. So that was very nice. They were very excited about that. We spent the afternoon kind of in their lab where they could all be on a computer, and we were going through all sorts of different things. So all my staff was there. They each presented on their own portion. They were able to ask questions. We've gotten a lot of nice emails. Got a big box of M&Ms, like 30 things of M&Ms from Price, and messages from Robert. It just came. Someone came over and here, and I'm like, "What's this for?" It's from Price.
That's one that.
So it is, and so just that they were very appreciative of being able to not only converse with us and learn different things, but more so getting together within their own group and being able to kind of, oh, you do this, oh, well, we don't do it that way, and I've always found that to be one of the best parts of those meetings is more so the secretaries getting to learn how the other one does and maybe coming up with a better way. But I would say it was really successful. We had fun, and I was glad it was in person. Zoom was nice, but it's nice to be in person and kind of be able to talk to everyone and have conversations. So
It is. Thank you so much. Item G, Superintendent CEO's Business by Consent Agenda. Dr. Todd Nichols.
Thank you, President Schofield and members of the board. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the Superintendent's Business Consent Agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of these items? Please call the roll.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt.
Item H, Superintendent's Business.
Thank you, President Schofield and members of the board. It is recommended that Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education approve the 2021-2022 goals as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on these? Please call the roll.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt, Ms. Schofield.
Aye. And your comments?
Sure, I have a few comments. First of all, our students returned to school today in a soft return, so to speak. And we had a really busy day, and I had the opportunity to travel to both of our middle schools and our high schools, see our sixth graders at both middle schools and the freshmen here, and all was well, all was quiet, and the students seemed ready to rock and roll. Looking forward to everybody coming back in mass and going out and visiting them more tomorrow. We had our weekly meeting with Summit County Public Health today, and it's frustrating. The issues with masks and governor's statement yesterday, and the numbers of emails that we're receiving. But it's also it's at least seems to be at least as much a contingency that doesn't want mask as there is that does. So I'm combining that with my travels to the buildings. And as I go to the buildings, and what I saw today and what I saw at convocation was that it's at least 2 to 1, those that are unmasked versus those that are masked. And so I, that I sent the all call last night, and hope that was well received. It did come at basically right after the governor's announcement. So it continues to remain a highly controversial topic with very strong opinions on both sides. And when I review our zip code numbers, and I asked Donna Skoda today, am I reading these numbers correctly? But if you go to the community reports and you look at 44221 and you see a 7-day rolling average of 0.14 new cases per day over a 7-day average, that's not very high. Now, what we do know is that that's based on people that are reporting it, and it's not everybody that's reporting it. But boy, I think I need some more data to be able to pull the trigger there and mandate masks. No, the only districts in Summit County or our area, even Kent, Akron, Twinsburg, based on a board meeting coming up, maybe Nordonia. Joe's got about four options there. But other than that, everybody is mask optional at this point in time.
And Akron is based on their zip codes too, isn't it? Like,
I do not know that. I can't answer that one accurately.
I guess what I meant to say, based on like the Summit County data,
Yeah.
the greater propensity of cases is in the Akron school district.
That is correct.
And that's what's driving us being in whatever elevated status we are at the county for the most part. Is out of those.
That would be accurate, but yeah, it continues to be an issue. I want people to know sincerely. I understand. I understand the opinions on both sides of the issue. I just do, and I respect their opinions. You, as a Board of Education, has asked me to listen to my community, and what I saw today was, and what I saw Monday, what I've seen this week is, by and large, people are going without. Now, one of the things that that Nordonia shared with us today is a little Google survey, and so we can do that. Talmadge did a mask opt-out thing, and Hudson did a choice for a masked classroom. I don't know. I don't feel crazy about either one of those situations. I certainly could get the opinion of folks through Google form. I'm not sure how that's going to help us a lot, but I could do it. And I heard on NPR earlier today that vaccinations for 5 to 11-year-olds maybe September. And I shared that with Donna Skoda, and she was like, we haven't heard that yet. What they are thinking is more late October and November. So they're coming. Not here yet, but January starts year 34. And this has got to be the singular most controversial issue that I've faced over 29 years of administration, because of how long it goes, right? How long it's been with us. You have controversial issues that last for a few weeks, maybe a month or two, but nothing that lasts for a year and a half. And it's going to be with us. It's just going to be with us going forward. So keep providing your opinions and those kinds of things. And,
Can I ask a question? So
sure.
I know based on what ODE sent out about quarantining, is there a way that we can inform our community of that? Because I'm not I just want to make sure that our parents understand that we are giving them the choice right now, but the reality is the choice could have consequences.
That's correct.
And if they choose not to mask their child, there's a greater chance of their kid having to quarantine and a greater chance of their kid having to quarantine for a longer period of time.
That is correct. And
And I just
it's a
want to
timely-
make sure that we find a way to tell our families that so that they have that piece of information as they make their decision.
very timely question, because I just shared a document with Crystal and Ellen that I borrowed, stole, whatever from Copley, Brian Poe. That's very simple. It's the most simple. See, the ODH flow chart, the ODH flow chart doesn't even match the verbiage that's associated with the flow chart. I mean, it's just, and so I can't really put that out there and expect people to understand it. The document that I shared today, or Brian shared with us, and then I shared with Ellen and Crystal, is much more succinct and easy. And the feedback that I've gotten is that
I have just a couple of edits to it and a couple questions just for my own clarification, because he's got a couple things that might just be only in Copley, just other doing things, but I think that would be something that we could easily get together.
I would also say that the whole quarantine issue dominated our conversation with superintendents and some of county public health, because it seems that we've received so much contradictory information on who, what, when, where, and those kinds of things. So yeah, we'll get this document put together and get it out to our community.
Thank you.
The last comment that I have is another controversial, or not controversial, I don't know, but another topic that's timely, and it's starting to emerge in other school districts in a more strong fashion than it has here. And so we want to be proactive with our stance on critical race theory. So I have a document that I'm going to read and read it for the record, put it into the record. So, good evening, Black Tiger family. In recent weeks, critical race theory has been a frequent topic in neighboring districts and the national news media. Our school board members have started to receive questions about critical race theory, specifically if it is taught in our classroom. We absolutely recognize the growing diversity in our community and welcome it with open arms. The purpose of this communication is to share the Cuyahoga Falls City Schools' position with regard to this sensitive topic. First, the Board of Education has not and will not be voting to adopt any curricular materials that specifically teach critical race theory. As is true with all instructional resources, the public is provided an opportunity to review the materials being considered for adoption prior to board action and purchase. Second, our schools, as is true with all Ohio public schools, adhere to a curriculum that is aligned with Ohio's learning standards. These standards provide the framework for the purchase of instructional materials, lesson development, test preparation, and all other content related to instructional implementation. The most recent K-12 social studies standards were adopted by the Ohio Department of Education in 2018. No curriculum changes have been planned or proposed by ODE since that date. Third, our students learn about the impact of race on American history and culture through the approved social studies curriculum. The depth and breadth of this learning varies by grade level. For those interested in learning about how topics related to race are addressed in the ODE learning standards, we encourage you to explore these standards on the ODE website under Ohio's learning standards. In closing, please be assured that we remain committed to not only meeting but exceeding our community's expectations to provide high-quality teaching and learning in every classroom. To this end, we will continue to be transparent about what our students are taught and will continue to provide an academic program that is based upon approved Ohio learning standards. Thank you for your continued support. Be well, stay safe, and as always, go Black Tigers.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
Mhm.
Item I, board business. Number 1, job description, treasurer. It's recommended the board that approve the new job description for the treasurer, which will also be placed in board policy BCC, qualifications and duties of the treasurer. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffett,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White.
Number 2, Business Advisory Council. It's recommended the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education approve the following to the Business Advisory Council for the listed terms. Camelia Fisher, 2024, Tony Fry, 2022.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on this item.
Just thank them for their service.
Absolutely. Roll call, please.
Dr. Hall.
Aye.
Ms. Moffett,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez.
Aye.
New item 3, public comment. Come on up.
Nope, you good.
And if you come up to the podium and speak into the microphone, it'll be recorded. We'll need you to state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm going to read this. I was not prepared. My mother passed away on Monday, and I had
Sorry to hear that.
decided that I was going to just read this instead of freak out. So, my name is Cassie Jebber. I live at 2623 Overbrook Road in the Falls. Thank you, Dr. Nichols, and to the board for allowing me this moment to speak on behalf of the many children who, because of the extenuating circumstances surrounding the 2020 pandemic, have fallen short on their academic requirements and are unable to participate in this fall's extracurricular activities. Here in Cuyahoga Falls, we are committed to a culture of caring. The 2020-2021 school year was anything but normal, as we're all very well aware. Many students were glued to a screen in every aspect of their lives for an entire year. Personally, I know how detrimental the remote learning environment was for young developing minds. My 14 and 15-year-olds have always been happy honor students and found themselves completely disengaged and uninterested in learning. Our family hired tutors in multiple subject areas due to the difficulty adjusting to remote work. It probably goes without saying, but many teachers were also taxed by this new structure and found it difficult to provide additional help to students. We strive to personalize education for all, but no one was prepared for the nightmare that we all endured during the pandemic. My heart breaks for the children who have had a harder time with academics, especially over the last year. I realize that everyone has different reasons for their personal hardship. For some, it's a lack of support at home. For some, it's turmoil in their personal lives. Others have undiagnosed learning disabilities. The list is so long, and I know that it's extremely difficult to truly accomplish personalizing an education for every single student. But right now, we are falling short for those who want and need sports as part of their education. There's no doubt that the children of the pandemic with poor grades need to be rehabilitated with intervention and given direction, even though they may not be willing to accept it. I've heard so many times that children with academic struggles are the kids who are seeking attention. If only we could look inside ourselves and find a way to help them cope with their hardship. Participation in high school sports has been proven to drive better grades, lead to fewer disciplinary issues, create fewer missed days, and better test results. When we strip extracurricular activities from them, which is often their only outlet to express themselves, it seems to be counterproductive in this season of their lives where connection to mentors and peers is crucial. For those who know me, know I'm a stickler for good grades. I volunteered all through both of my children's elementary school days to help students who struggled with reading. I also understand that some children work harder than others in their academics in order to enjoy their extracurricular activities. The point I want to leave you with is this. Not every student has been dealt a hand that allowed them to succeed academically during the worldwide pandemic. If our goal is to reach every student, we need to reevaluate our criteria for sports eligibility in our district. We talk about reaching students every day, and now more than ever, we need to give them every opportunity to find their place in this world. I believe, along with many others, that waiving the eligibility criteria in this extenuating circumstance will provide the children of Cuyahoga Falls the best chance they have for success, both now and in their futures, which have only just begun. Thank you.
Thank you. Please accept our condolences also. Item 4, future agenda items. Hearing none, we'll move to committee reports. Alliance for School and Community Growth, Mrs. Moffett.
Yes, we met on August 10th, and we talked about the wellness team using funds for after-school care. We talked about bringing on a communications person, and we addressed that tonight with Tom Speaks and the Impact Group. We talked about and congratulated our new Director of Curriculum and Instruction. We talked about the submission of the business advisory plan to the state that is due September 30th and spent quite a bit of time regarding that particular document. And at that meeting, we also asked for volunteers for our business group, and Tony volunteered, as did our Chamber of Council person. So that was a very productive meeting that brought new people to the table. We talked about career night, which will be held this year, and with the 10th grade ELA teachers focusing on this with their students. We also talked about bringing in government connections, and there was another one, if I can find it in my notes. Nonprofits, thank you. Because those seem to be lacking in previous career nights. So we're hoping that we can draw some people in to work with our students who are interested in those fields. We were very pleased with the junior achievement group that worked with us last year. Chamber, I have September 25th. What is going on with that one? I'm sorry, I didn't get all of that in my notes. Anyway, the chamber is meeting with the Cuyahoga Falls High School parking lot on September 25th. I guess we can have more details next month. We're back to school 5 days a week, and we're very excited about that. And more importantly, we had more people in person than we've had with our Zoom meetings over the last few months. So we were very pleased to see more people becoming involved in the Alliance. I can't say enough about this group, and it is one of the things that I will truly miss the most when my term expires. So hopefully the person who steps into this role will enjoy it just as much. Our business people are phenomenal, and the educators that come every month to meet with us are just doing a wonderful job of including those folks as much as we can in our school system, which benefits our students. So that's it for now.
Thank you, Mrs. Moffett.
Thank you.
Athletics and Activity Council, Dr. Hall.
Yeah, we met just recently, and I reported out on that at the last meeting. And I'll get with Mr. Johnson about the next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Hall. Board Policy, Ms. White and Mr. Gomez.
Not yet.
Business Advisory Council, Mrs. Moffett, Ms. White.
We meet August 24th at 8 a.m.
Thank you. Financial Advisory Committee, Dr. Hall.
We meet tomorrow, and Ms. Forsythe, that's in person, yes?
Foundation and Alumni Association, Mr. Gomez.
We met here last Tuesday. We talked quite a bit about preserving our history as we shift towards a new 612 building and stadium. How do we tie in parts of our history that would be important to our alumni, as well as honoring our distinguished alumni in the new building. We talked about our continued membership campaign, and through that, Gary Metcalf presented briefly on the foundation at convocation on Monday, and every staff member receives a one-page or informational sheet about it. And I know that we got several new members from that as well. I know that the foundation met with Mayor Walters, and he joined as well as a proud alum. So we just continue to keep growing, and it's hard to talk about some of the work because some of it's very nuts and boltsy work, but so much work is being put into the Foundation Alumni Association by the people there that are part of it. And we should all just be really, really proud of the people that serve on it.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Anything under legislation that you'd like to share?
No, they are still on recess, and then they still haven't. Have they released the full budget? Like, you have to, so we still don't know exactly how
October, I think is
How
what we
all
said
the
they
new
would have it
funding
incorporated.
is coming
Christie?
through.
Yeah, they're anticipating from ODE standpoint, having it like all the in place with the first October payment right now. But that was just where they were at. So hopefully, typically they do get it by then when we're in this change or we change a formula. But that's the anticipated date right now.
Yeah, we haven't seen the formula. Yeah. So,
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. It's nothing to report under student achievement. Item 6, comments. We begin this evening with Mr. Gomez.
I had the opportunity to attend the first couple hours of our convocation on Monday morning. Our staff just seemed so excited, and it was just great to see people. It was great to see and feel the excitement in the room. People were just, I think, excited to see one another, and just, I think one of the best parts is when Ellen honors everyone for their years of service, and then later that night on Facebook, so many of the staff members were posting their pins. So proud of that. So it really makes an impact on people when we recognize them. So I'm looking forward to having more teacher and staff recognition at our meetings again this year, and looking forward to that, and just an exciting start to the new school year. So welcome back to everyone. And I think everyone wants kids to be in person and wearing masks and getting vaccinated if you're eligible is the best way to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Dr. Hall.
Thank you. Miss White and I were able to attend the Meet the Tigers event over the weekend. I had never been to that event. It was awesome. I brought my kids who had a front row seat for the marching band performance, and the whole production was just really fantastic. Sitting next to the announcer who was across from the grandstand and everything, it was really just a great event. And the pride, the Black Tiger pride that was there that day was just incredible from all the athletes, and especially that amazing band. So that was a really great event. I had a great time. My kids were overwhelmed.
They were good.
They were good. They were. I happened to walk over by Schnee and saw some work going on in there. So just once again, our thanks to your staff, Mr. Rigatti, and everybody who's working hard to get that all up and running. And then just more broadly, everybody who's been working so hard to get us back to this point. Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody has a great year. I just want to echo what Mr. Gomez said, that we do want everybody in person. I want my kids in person. My kids are wearing masks. I'm wearing a mask. So please wear your mask, get vaccinated, so we can keep this thing going.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Mrs. Moffett.
I'll only briefly mention the band show last night because I'm sure Patty was there.
I
and would
was.
like to talk about her grandchild. So
No.
it was a fantastic night, and you can see all of the hard work that goes into that event. The clouds threatened. A
They
storm
did.
briefly came, but it didn't last long enough to spoil the evening. And I'll just share this because it was such a neat thing. On church on Sunday, I happened to bump into a person who's a Falls grad who lives in Berlin with his family, but brings his child over upon occasion to spend a year in the Cuyahoga Falls school system. And during the course of conversation, which covered many topics, he happened to mention that Mr. Cupp of Cupp Patterson fame was his college roommate. And he asked how he was doing. Boy, believe me, we had a lot to share in that conversation. So it was exciting to tell him that Mr. Cupp has been working so hard to bring public education finances to a good place in Ohio. So that was the excitement for the weekend. But our kids are doing wonderful things. Our teachers are doing wonderful things. Our staff is doing wonderful things, and we couldn't be prouder than to be Black Tigers. So keep up the great work, folks. Everyone hopefully appreciates everything you do.
Thank you, Mrs. Moffett. I'm next, and I just want to extend a great big welcome back to everyone. It is so good to see all of you yesterday or on Convocation Day Monday. It was a great feeling, and we're looking forward to a great year. So welcome back in that regard. And I just also like to reinforce the fact that masks have been strongly recommended in our schools. And I encourage them to be worn by our students and staff. And if you're old enough to be vaccinated, please get vaccinated. We want to keep these doors open. We want to keep our kids here. And we want to have a normal, or as normal as possible, a school year as we can. So please mask up, get vaccinated if you're eligible. Ms. White?
Well, Meet the Tiger Night was wonderful. As Dr. Hall said, I got to meet his two little girls, and the one is really ornery. But I loved it. It was great. She was so good. They both were excellent. But the band was wonderful. It was good to see all the athletes out on the field. I remember my dad walking me out for Meet the Tiger Night a long time ago. But it was just wonderful to see all the sports and the athletes and how they do so well. They really, really do their best and put forth their best effort. And of course, my granddaughter's in the band, so I can't really talk enough about that. But the band, it's 100 years, and the band show was just awesome. All the bands were wonderful. I wish, if you weren't there, I wish you could go just to see how the other bands always cheer and clap and hooray for every band. It's not just their own. And even the parents. I was sitting kind of, unfortunately, but they were good, around Stowe parents. But they were very good. And we talked and we just cheered each other on. And that's so good to see. I mean, I just really appreciated our band. Our sister band, Maslin, was there. They were so good. And of course, Tiger Band. You can't beat them. You just can't. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I almost forgot the Alumni Band. My gosh, we have people from 72, 70. I don't know if there was a 68 or not. I'm not sure. But they have the years on their back of their shirts. And boy, did they keep up. I couldn't believe it. They were awesome. And I think a lot of us stood in applause for the Alumni Band, which is wonderful. In fact, the Stowe people behind me were saying, "Oh my gosh, how wonderful is that?" And it was just a really great experience. I hope all of you can go sometime. I also wanted to welcome back everybody to school, the school year. I want you to have the best year ever. But I especially want to welcome back Mike Warwick. He is my friend, and he just finished his tour of duty. And I don't really know if he came back from Afghanistan. I'm not sure. Or how many tours he's had. But he's just the best guy, and I wish him well. And I'm glad to see him home and back at school. And then again, with everybody else on this board, if you can get vaccinated, please do so. It's the most effective way to keep our community, our schools, our families, our children safe. Please get vaccinated. If you can't, okay, but we need to wear masks in school. I'm a firm believer in that. I support wearing masks for one and all in school, especially for our young children that can't be vaccinated. We have to put their safety first. So please, folks, get vaccinated, wear masks.
Thank you, Ms. White. I think we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
All right.
That was pretty good.
Thank you, everyone.
Jeez. Wow. That was pretty good.
These cookies